I just want everything to be so perfect. Maybe drum and bass in the morning wasn't a good thing. It's about as good as it's going to get. I've done a layer of varnish around the whole boat now, majority of it.
Oh, we've got to fix that. Let's have a look and start pulling things apart.
Ugh, that moisture. About as good as it's going to get. It is one of those sweltering days and it's too hot to be painting. You can't paint when it's hot like this and try to get like a good finish. It is too much thinners, your paint goes off too quick, gets all thick. We're nearly up to the stages of varnishing, which is pretty sick. And there's lots of little bits like trimmings and shelves and stuff that have been taken off that need to be varnished. And I figured since it's so hot and I've got one of them over my shoulders, why wouldn't I bring everything back to the apartment that we're renting and varnish under the air conditioner? Now, I may look stupid, but I reckon that is probably one of the best ideas I've ever had. So I've got everything laid out on the balcony here and got the aircon blowing through the blinds, and I'll sit out there and crank some tunes, have a beer and do some varnishing. Varnishing with a view. Varnishing is a good thing because varnishing means that it's getting close to finished. So I've pretty much painted all of the boat, all the white stuff. All the sides here are done, the aft cabin's done, the V-berth's done. And I've got enough paint to put a third coat onto the main feature wall here, and since that's the first thing you see when you come downstairs and it's kind of like the wow factor is what we want, so going to put a third coat on that. But just, I've been sanding it again with like 400 grit because there's these little circles that have kind of appeared in the paint. I'm not sure if it's because I used too much thinners or maybe I put it on too thick or just what it is, just because it's like the paint itself kind of like when it dries and sets all the pigments, you know, it kind of makes that one flat colour. And I'm thinking that maybe there's too much thinners in it and it's kind of dropped a little bit. And I've had all these little circles form. Kind of like air bubbly sort of things. Really pisses me off. It's only happened on this feature wall as well, so which is another thing. I don't know whether that's because of the what's underneath it that's kind of coming through, but I highly doubt that because there's like 5 layers of primer and it was all sanded, all that varnish was sanded. It wasn't all the way back, but it was definitely sanded. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what it was. I think it's just the top coat in itself, and then that was what was trying to dry, and maybe I've just put too much thinners in it. I don't really know. So I've spent hours now. I've probably spent 4 hours just hand sanding with 400 grit. It feels so smooth. You really need to be up close and staring at it to see them. So it's probably once again me being super anal, and you know, from a metre away you couldn't tell anything, and it's only like when you get right up close inspecting is that when you can see it. So maybe it's me being a little bit anal, but I don't know. Once again, I just want this to be absolutely perfect, so that's what I'm trying to do. We've come this far. Finish it off now. So we got another week here in the boatyard, so I want to try to get all this painting and all this varnishing finished, get as many coats of varnish on as I can, because we're going to head up to Penang. Because of the CMCO, we can't really just freely travel, so we can't go up for our doctor's appointments and then come back, because you're not allowed to travel interstate at this present time in Malaysia because of COVID. And so because of that, we're just going to get the exemption once, and we're going to just move to Penang next week. We ended up getting an apartment, which is pretty exciting, and we took the lease over a couple of days ago, so we're already paying for something that we're not using. So we really want to, we'll just go up to Penang, leave Nandji how she is, and because we've got so much stuff still in Langkawi, it's been there for months now, we can't get it down here until the CMCO lifts and we can travel interstate. It's the only time we can collect it. So there's a lot of boat tasks involved with what's still in Langkawi, so the boat isn't going to be finished anyway, so at least hopefully I can just get all the painting and the varnishing done, so then all up the major stinky jobs are finished, and then once we have Bubs in Penang we can just roll on back again, stay in the apartment and finish off Nandji. So that's pretty much the plan, which is good. We have a good plan. That's like a mapped out plan for the next few months, which is exciting. It's not often we have a perfect plan for months, especially this day and age, how things change every other day. But today I've already put a first coat of varnish on. The V-berth's fully first coated. I've done some areas in the saloon and some areas in the aft cabin, but today I'm going to do all these top cupboards here in the saloon, kitchen area, the big bulkhead. Basically going to do everything in the saloon except the sides of the boat here still, the railings, because I think I'm going to put one more top coat on the bulkhead because there is a little bit of paint. Those little drip marks have definitely disappeared, so I definitely use too much thinners, and so I'll sand it all back and I'll put the final layer on, which should now be totally flat and smooth. I reckon it should be. Just looking at it, it looks pretty sick. You probably can't tell anything from there, but it looks pretty nice. So it's time to get some more varnish on, because this is what's going to take the most amount of time. And so it's a really wet day outside, so I don't want to paint this because there's moisture in the air. I'll at least have that, do a heap of varnishing, and then I can hopefully do the top coat of that one tomorrow morning. Let's just get as much varnish done today as we can. We're using Epiphanes. This gear is good. Uncle got us onto this, I think, from memory, and no complaints. So this is what we painted the little area around the sink with last time, and I've painted it, since done the varnished up all the bathroom as well when we're in the water. It's a high gloss finish. A lot of boats normally do like a gloss roof and a gloss floor, and then like everything else is matte. But for Nandji, we already have a matte coloured floor and a matte coloured roof, so we want all the sides to be glossy. So we're kind of doing it a little bit opposite. So we're using straight up, there's no stain or nothing in it, it's just extra high gloss clear varnish. The key to varnish is about building up layers. So building up the layers is what gives it the longevity, and it gives it that high gloss, like solid resistant finish sort of deal. But to do that, so you start off by mixing like 50% thinners into the first coat, so the wood really absorbs it, and then you kind of reduce the amount of thinners that goes into each coat as you build up the layers. So this first one's like 50-50, then you go like 25% thinners, then like 5-10% thinners, then just around the fourth layer just go straight all varnish. So there's quite a lot of layers to do, but the more layers you do, the better it's going to look. So I just hope I have enough time to build up a heap of layers. I'd like to get 7. If I can get at least 5, I'll be stoked. Hope you can see me with such a reflection in the background. It's time to have a little operate on this window and to see how bad it is. You can see like it was really wet this morning, it rained a lot, and that wood just there is soaked. We've got to fix that. Can't start varnishing this stuff here. Let's have a look and start pulling things apart. It doesn't look that hard. I think I just got to take the whole window out and then we'll just reset the window back in there. I think that's probably the easiest way. And I can rebuild whatever's missing and rotted out in here. Might not be too bad of a job. Said no one ever on a boat. Ugh. That moisture. It's just soft. That's all water. So I'm glad we got into that now that we have. Look at that. Yeah. Looks like we got it early enough though. Hasn't damaged this bottom wood, which is good. Well, we'll wipe it down and get it clean. So I ended up pulling out all that wood, cleaning it up. There's still a layer here, and so that's all solid there. So it hasn't gone all the way through, it's just gone through half of the layers. Can't actually push the window out, so it must be set in there pretty good. All the top's all solid still, so you don't have to worry about it too much in that regard, but definitely need to get all this crap out. Try to get down as much of it out as I can, then I'll paint it all with some acetone to try to get all the moisture out. Alright, maybe on my deeper inspection I changed my thoughts of maybe it's not such a big job. It's a nightmare. It's business time here on Nandji this morning. I'm going to put the final top coat on the feature wall. This will be the 4th coat, and I think I've sanded it back again with 400, and I've got like majority of those little circles out, so I think that just was too much thinners. All that sanded back, and that last coat I put on really covered up a lot of them, and since the top coats are super thin, I would think that what I've done this time around should cover up all of those little blemishes, so we should just have a totally perfect white planked wall, which is going to look sick. It already looks good. I'm just getting so anal now and just so petty about it, but I just want everything to be so perfect. So we're getting closer, and I've done a layer of varnish around the whole boat now, majority of it, apart from that little window scenario at the back. The first few coats of varnish just kind of make it look a bit damp sort of stuff. It's not really bringing out that shine yet, but you can, when you put it on, you can see the potential. There is little glossier areas, and so it's going to look pretty sick. I've got the fair froth about that one. I'm just going to crank some tunes, get stuck into it before it starts getting too hot and too warm, and the paint doesn't really start applying too good. Nothing like a bit of drum and bass in the morning to get you going. 7:30 drum and bass. Woo! 7:30 drum and bass. Woo! Man, honestly, I'm actually a little bit disappointed. It probably looked better before I've done this extra layer. Maybe drum and bass in the morning wasn't a good thing. There's a run mark there. Man. That's just so frustrating. It looks good. What am I talking about? You can't tell. I won't tell Bonita, and then she won't tell, and then hopefully over time I just forget about it. Apart from that bug that's flowing onto the paint. Little bastard. Oh. Move on. It's about as good as it's going to get. Taking the tape off around the edges here now, because it is like a big white wall, but there's trimmings that go down the side that are varnished in between the walls, and we've left the entranceway into the V-berth here, so that'll all be varnished edges as well as like the handle here. But I guess this is what it's gonna look like. Yeah, looks good. Once that's sanded back and just all varnished up, that'll look good. Well, I'm glad we did that. That was Bonita's brains, I reckon. Good stuff, boss.